'Twas the night before Christmas, and somewhere in Maine lived two funny weirdos, in love and insane. They have some fun presents ready to share, stories of spirits, UFOs everywhere. So cozy up to your fire, pour a stiff drink, as we enter your mind and cause you to think. Welcome to the Paranormal Christmas Sideshow with your festive host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Ho, ho, ho. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, Santa Claus Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely little elf, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are in the midst of the holiday season.
Yes.
And by midst, I mean we're recording this literally on the 23rd of December, and we're going to release this on the 24th of December because I wanted a Christmas spectacular that was actually spectacular. And
yes, and we are literally amidst. Is that what you said?
Amidst
Christmas, because we're right next to the tree.
Yes, we are.
With the presents.
We are immersed. We are immersed in Christmas. Don't give me your weird tongue-tie stuff.
It's catchy.
You know, the Christmas season is fun. It's wonderful, unless you go shopping.
Oh, gosh.
That's the only bad thing about it. I mean, shopping's fun, but not shopping at Walmart.
Oh,
Shopping at Walmart last minute, I can think of several medieval punishments and tortures that I would probably rather endure than waiting on the new person
that they hired for the Christmas season.
I kid you not, Stacey and I were there last night, and we were buying some last minute gifts.
This was a necessity.
Yeah, stocking stuffers, what have you. And we're in a line, and Stacey's sort of just spacing out like she does, and looking at a phone or looking at the ceiling or the floor or contemplating life, whatever goes on in that brain. And I'm sort of just, looking around myself, and I look up, and I notice that we haven't moved, but it's been about 15 minutes. So I just start doing my subtleness and cussing loudly about how long it was taking. And the woman in front of us, this sweet little lady, she turns around and she goes, "I know." And like you don't want the teacher to hear,
Right.
Like, this guy's been up there 25 minutes. and then God knows how long ago that guy told her. So I start thinking, why? Why are we standing here? Like, what is possessing us to not just go to another? Because you don't want to lose your spot, right?
Yeah. What if you get to the other one and it's even slower?
Right. You don't want to lose your spot. It's a gamble. It's a weird life game of poker.
We play that game where one of us stands in one line and the other one runs and stands in another line.
Yeah,
and
we did it last night.
Whoever's kind of going a little quicker, then we're like, "Come on, over here."
I gave you the look.
Yeah.
The nod.
You did.
The subtle nod. I'm standing there and I look over and I'm just kind of like, all right, this one looks pretty good. I've seen this cashier before. This might happen I gave the nod, and you just came running
with the cart.
Yeah, little bells on you, going off and stuff. The Christmas season's strange. I love it for all its weirdness. There's good and bad, and I'm looking at. I really wanted to do a Christmas special, so we're completely Christmas themed today. It's just a great time, and there is magic in the air.
There is.
Everything feels different. You're just happy. It's not just a normal 5 days off from work. It's 5 days off from work at Christmas. It's
right with presents.
It's completely different. But some of the things that are said to you around Christmas, I guess I think too much about people. Like I think too much about things that are said to me and
right
their relevance. I don't like irrelevant comments.
Okay.
It's just a thing for me. I can't stand when someone texts me back after everything's said and done, and they'll text me back, okay, or I mean when it's not required,
right?
That last little text.
I know you love it when people text you the thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, well, me and Travis Molden and Alan Marston have fixed that with our skull. So thank you, Facebook, for giving us that option. But and now it's turned into something like when we agree. It's just the skull. Okay, so anyway, back to my Christmas weirdness.
Right.
I noticed something around December 1st. And my job is a pretty highfalutin job, and I travel the state, and I see and meet a lot of people.
Right.
Okay? In my day job, my Clark Kentness.
Right.
So it's really bad. You know how it is when you notice something. when you notice something, it's all over, right?
Right.
It's just so bad. So what I noticed was people asking me, you ready for Christmas? You ready for Christmas? Hey, are you ready for Christmas? Mm-hmm. So everywhere I go, everybody's asking me, you ready for Christmas?
Right.
And it's like, I get it. It's a greeting. It's part of a greeting. They don't really want to know is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Because I was like, you know what? After about the 10th time someone asked me this, I literally answered. Like I gave them the real answer. And I was like, not really. If I had a little bit more petty cash or some better planning, I would have, bought this and bought that. And, I have this coming and we need to really buy this. But we need to think about this because this one has a birthday in January. I just went.
Did you bore them to tears?
I just went off on it. And the guy, you could tell because I had met this person before. Mm-hmm. And in my position, he is pretty much, he has to listen to me.
Right.
So you could tell that he was not wanting to listen to me. And I was just doing it to try to break him like a dog.
Well, maybe that's how you break people. Well, you start telling them a long story.
Yeah, but the story differs.
Right.
It would be funny if it ended there, but it doesn't.
Okay.
So as I'm doing this, and I was fully certain that he wanted out of this, we get to the end of it, and he takes me to lunch, mm-hmm. and he buys my lunch.
He feels sorry for you.
He bought my lunch and wouldn't let me out of it, okay? Mm-hmm. And it was totally because he felt sorry for me. So it changed my entire Christmas spirit. Do you remember me when I told you that I got the Christmas spirit?
Right.
And I was at work. I sent you a text, and I'm mm-hmm. like, okay, girls, I have the Christmas spirit. No fear. It's in me now. I'm going to be happy and jolly the rest of the month, right?
Right.
That's what happened. I figured out that maybe it does matter, right? So maybe it's some weird kind. I love magic. So maybe it's some old magic that I didn't realize about. So what I did was I have asked at least 150 people since that point. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for Christmas? So you ready for Christmas, Mike? How about you, Tom? Are you ready for Christmas? I'm just trying to find different inflections to say it differently.
Right. You got to get the perfect the perfect question.
So if you're ready for Christmas, you should log into ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your place to find everything Christmassy. Well, not really, as always. It's a cool place, though, with a lot of news and everything we talk about on here, plus extras. So if we do talk about it on the show, you're going to get that, plus you're going to get a lot of other fun stuff. On Facebook.com, it's /Paranormal Sideshow. On Instagram, Hot Jimmy Graham. Well, maybe I should say hot damn Jimmy Graham, because I don't want to say hot Jimmy Graham, because that just is a whole nother that's a whole nother level of fandom right there.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't know, that's one of our favorite players in the NFL, in the National Football League, and some Frozen Tundra is going to be going on this next few weeks, so we're going to be really excited about that. Instagram's a fun place for us. We post little things. Sometimes we post during a show, post whatever we feel like. On YouTube, just search Paranormal Sideshow. You're going to find, and weirdly enough, people go and watch the black screen and listen to the show that way. So if you're one of those people right now currently staring at a black screen listening to this,
there's a picture.
I love you.
And our icon's there.
Yeah, and thank you for watching the picture the whole time. And on the tweeter, mm-hmm. It is at Sideshow97, because we're that cool. Speaking of cool, mm-hmm. I gotta tell you, we had another top secret, quiet, lip closed conversation this week with some top secret people, and it was so much fun. And if those people are listening right now, it was a lot of fun. And you've got my mind going and my theories going, and boy, I can't wait to share stuff with our family out there, with the people. Mm-hmm. The show is growing by leaps and bounds, and by leaps and bounds, I really mean leaps and bounds. Mm-hmm. Every time
it's really taken off.
I'm not going to give any actual numbers here, but let me give you this: they give you benchmarks. Hey, is your podcast doing well? Or if not, our podcast hits that number in a day. Like they give you the 3-month. Or is it 3 weeks?
It's like 4 weeks.
Four weeks. They give you like a 4-week benchmark. Like, hey, if your podcast, pretty much, if you should keep doing your podcast or contemplate suicide. That's the two.
I don't think that's
the two different. That's the two different choices. So we got that magic number, and it hits it within 24 hours. So I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all the listeners out there, all the listeners that enjoy our weirdness, craziness, that is John and Stacy, that's been us through all the shows that we've done. And the ones of you who have followed us, God bless you. It's we really
that's been sticking with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We're kind of like, the show that bounces around from Friday night to Thursday night to Tuesday night. It's,
right. Well,
No, it's great. And what I mean, we're really and we intend on being very consistent with this show. This show is never going to change. We're never going to change the name again, and I'm holding myself to that. We should have always done it by ourselves on our own.
I agree. We didn't have to go with what anybody else said.
Yeah, no restraints. Just exactly who we are. And who we are is two kooky, crazy people. And we like to bring the kooky, crazy life that is this real world to you. The news they should be telling you, but they don't. So, and the topics they should be talking about, but they don't.
Exactly.
So I want to give a little update. This is kind of funny.
Okay.
Mandela hit me at home.
The Mandela effect, yes.
So those of you who didn't check out our Mandela effect episode, go back and do that right now, and then find your place and come back.
Yeah, go listen to it.
We'll wait. Okay, so you listened to that just now. It was really, really cool, right? All right, so without looking it up, I had the Mandela effect occur to me. And it was not cool at all. We wanted to show some Christmas movies to little Ariana.
Yes, we're starting to give her that Christmas education.
Right.
With the movies.
And good word, education. Because we wanted the little edgier movies that you can't show her when she's 3 and 4.
Right.
Because she gets it more now. So, tonight we're doing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll all get a lot of laughs. The other night we did Gremlins, the 1984 classic, right? So I had always, as Stacy, remembered the main heel as being Spike. And we just remembered his name was Spike. Even when he first pops out and he's still a Mogwai, he was Spike.
Right.
But we're watching the movie, and all of a sudden, it's Stripe. And I look over, I'm like, what? And I look over and I whisper to Stacy, I'm like, I said something about it being, no, the way it worked, he popped off, and I go, oh, look, there's Spike. A few minutes later, they're calling him Stripe, and Stacy's like, oh, wait a second. And she's like, wasn't his name Spike? It's not Stripe. So anyway, we look it up after the movie, and sure enough, there is a lot of people that remember it as Spike, and
not Stripe.
Yeah, and a lot of people that remember it as Stripe. Even in our little circle, there's one that says, "Look, dude, it's Molden." He's like, "Look, it's always been Stripe, never been anything else but Stripe."
But that's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Because some people remember it one way. I will say on this one, though, it's a very close name.
It is. It's very close.
It's a very close name. So much so that more than likely it was always Stripe. But I'm telling you, I remember it being Spike.
We never talked about that one. And
No.
I always remembered it as Spike, too, because of his spiky hair.
Yeah, it was that era.
So,
it was the punk rock era. Well, the punk rock era was going main. It had already went mainstream by that point, and it was no longer punk.
Right.
It was sellout world. But the spiky hair, the mohawk like he has, right? Yeah, anyway. So speaking of coolness and things like that, we have a lot of news to get to before we get to our theme of the show, which is the Ghost of Christmas Past. And by ghost, I mean the skeletons in Christmas's closet.
Ooh,
there
exciting.
You go. It's time for some paranormal news.
And now, directly from the North Pole, Santa's dirty little secret, Stacey Edwards and Paranormal News.
Okay, so let's get to the news.
Let's.
I would like to say that I kind of hate you for pointing out the "Are you ready for Christmas" thing, because now that's all I'm going to hear.
You ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I'll never be able to not notice it now. Okay, so let's start with a story from Maine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, something that happened
Oh, yeah.
recently that we noticed. And I'll start with a really cool UFO sighting
Right.
that happened.
This one is really cool.
Now, this just happened this past Monday night, okay, on the 19th. And it's a video that this guy posted to Facebook of just the most unbelievable UFO kind of thing that happened. It didn't look like anything you would expect.
Right.
And so on his Facebook, he said that he was standing there and he kind of saw a light out of his corner of his eye, out of his peripheral vision. And so he looked, and then there was like 2 lights. So he grabbed his phone, because he's not like the rest of us that just stare and be like,
Right.
and forget to film it. So he grabbed his phone and he was filming it through his screen door. And what was in the video was just incredible. It was like all these lights, and they kind of just all came on in order.
Yeah,
and
it was ridiculous.
hung there.
Yeah.
And then they went off in the same
Yeah, it was crazy.
order. It was really strange.
It was crazy. It was really ridiculous looking. So much so you have to think CGI, but and a lot of times we do. So we go looking at what website are we looking at? Blah blah blah. It wasn't like this on this one. This was a Facebook post that happened in Maine. It picked up momentum. It got 500,000 shares. Went to the guy's Facebook, and he's truly a Mainer, a Maina. And his other post was family and stuff like that. So very interesting. You guys should check it out. Stacy will post it up.
Yeah, I'll definitely put a link to it.
Give
You
us
can
your
watch it.
opinions on it. The crazy thing about it, this week.
So the crazy thing is, there's also a post that I will link to, a story of a camera at Mount Katahdin, which is also in Maine.
Right.
It's a webcam. It's called the Twin Pines webcam. It points at the mountain all the time. It actually captured a meteor
Right.
over Mount Katahdin.
Right.
And this happened Tuesday morning at 4:30 in the morning. So essentially the same night that you saw this UFO. Now, the UFO sighting was over Buxton, Maine, which is outside of Portland.
Right.
And then
this is on up the state.
Yeah, so on up the state was this meteor, and you can see it's just a picture of it, and it's kind of shooting straight down.
Right.
And it was taken with a camera from the New England Outdoor Center. So
And
they posted it. It was really cool.
Right, and they've had fireballs and stuff there before, but with all the stories we do and the fact we're always looking around, I'm always trying to correlate the fact that these fireballs and as I've said it before, when we were children, I don't remember the nightly news starting off with fireball in Russia blows out all the windows.
Right.
It happens all the time now. It's like the mysterious booms. It's like the fireballs. This is not the world I remember. Okay.
Right.
Growing up, not even as an early adult, not even 10 years ago, you didn't really hear about this stuff.
Right.
So since these fireballs seem to run rampant, I mean, think back, guys. How many fireballs do you remember reading about this year? 10, possibly.
Quite a few.
It's every few weeks you'll see something about a fireball. There's a couple of lines of thinking there. Everybody has a camera in their hand now, and
there's dash cams.
Right.
You get a lot of dash cam footage. That
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Didn't used to happen. Used to be. I've seen fireballs that I have no proof of that were just amazing. So that could be one thing, but still, yet I like to correlate it with UFO sightings just because. I mean, why not, right? Theories.
I thought this one was cool because it happened on the same night. It's not the same exact area, but it was still close enough.
Yeah, as the crow flies.
Yeah, that makes it kind of interesting. Anyway,
Right.
I will say, if you go watch the video of the UFO sighting, there is foul language.
Oh,
because
much.
the guy said the F word. Like
Right.
he was properly astonished, and he
Right.
used the F word quite a lot. So just warning you, little warning there. But I will post it. Just go to the
And let me say this.
website.
So have you thought a little bit about the fact that all the weird stuff that's happened up here since we came up here?
Yeah, I don't know that, because I know when we did all the news before for all the other podcast episodes, I don't ever remember a lot of stuff coming out of Maine.
No.
And now we've got UFO sightings and meteors and anacondas
Yeah.
being found.
Wessie?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I remember coming out of Maine before us was, like lobster and LL Bean. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't
Do you
really.
think we brought some weirdness up here with us?
I would like to think that we did. I mean, I know there's.
Let's just take credit for that.
I know there's a bunch of witches' graves up here and a lot of good old hauntings and
Right.
things like that. And that's great. And a lot of haunted lighthouses and what have you. But I like to think that maybe we brought a little bit of our weird with us.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I think so.
All right, cool.
Maybe people in Maine just don't talk about this stuff. Like they like to keep it hidden, and here we come, and we're just reporting all the secrets.
Because it's a Stephen King novel.
Exactly.
Because
They're just used to it.
Because ever since I moved my wife here, it's been a Stephen King novel. She's like, I don't think the people in this town are going to tell us their secrets.
I am going to meet Stephen King. You wait.
That building looks very odd.
All the buildings look very odd.
They do.
All right, so let's move on to the next story. So here's another strange one. And this is from the Mariana Trench.
And
they have
the deepest part of the ocean.
Recorded a very strange sound that they could not identify.
Is this like the strange sound you did a story on weeks ago?
This is different.
Okay.
Because that was more like I think it was more like a bang or a ping or something. And this is like a song, like a screech. It's long and it's...
You almost sounded like Vanilla Ice there trying to explain how he didn't steal the song from Queen.
Right.
I mean, bro, theirs went da 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 da. And mine went da 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 da. I mean, bro, come on.
There actually was a difference there, but it's like very slight.
Yeah.
So
right.
Anyway. Okay, so Mariana Trench, deepest part of the ocean.
Yes, I'm back.
Deepest part. We're back now. So researchers from the Hatfield Marine Science Center.
Not to be confused with the McCoy Science Center.
They don't get along.
They hate each other.
Yeah, they can't work together.
Been going on for years.
Terrible.
All right.
They sent a hydrophone down to the deepest part of the trench, and it recorded this weird, strange sound. They call it the Western Pacific biotwang. And I know it's a weird name. I don't know.
Biotwang.
The biotwang. Yeah.
It sounds like it's like the Chemical Brothers go country.
Well, it sounded kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a recording on the article, and you can read it. You can't read the recording. You can listen to it though.
Be cool though.
It's really crazy, and so they feel like the sounds are kind of similar to whales, and they think that the most likely explanation is probably that it's some kind of whale sound. Mm-hmm. But they haven't verified that. They're really not sure that because they're entirely unique.
Well, I obviously read this with you,
right?
The thing that one of the scientists said was, yeah, if it was whales, why is it year long? I mean, like a whale mating call.
Right.
They wouldn't be going on all the time. I guess the whales don't stay in season all the time. Thank God for it. But
I think that whales probably communicate some, even when it's not mating season. But like I said, it's not something that it's like really know.
The blue-bellied sperm whale. But no, it sounds. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me put it this way. It sounds like a freaking alien. I don't know.
It does sound really strange. And the fact that it's coming from the deepest part of the ocean, who knows what's down there?
Right.
Who knows? There could be all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's what we talked about for years.
Yeah.
I mean, years and years. There's places we can't go, we can't see, and this world is billions of years old. It's hard to tell what is down there. And this is really cool. This sounds like when I heard it, what went through my head is the UFO that crashed a million years ago with its distress signal that's been going
and it's been going off forever.
It kind of put you in mind of on Empire. Uh-huh. When the little droid thing was sending its thing back to the Empire,
right?
On Hoth, It's kind of like it's kind of what it sounds like.
Well, the recording that you can listen to, it lasts about 3 seconds, and it goes from really low frequencies to really high frequencies, and it is creepy sounding.
It really is.
It really is. And the only thing that they had when they were trying to identify it, the best clue that they had was they had another really bizarre recording from 2001 that was made in Australia's Great Barrier Reef that has similarities, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's pretty cool because you had the other ping that was happening. And up in the Arctic or whatever, they couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And now this and go, you add that to the mysterious booms around the entire world that we've talked about a million times.
And every other weird thing that's been going on. I mean, it's just crazy.
And every other weird thing. It'll all make sense at some point.
You think?
It feels like I'm watching a frustrating HBO series where they're slowly like giving you these clues.
Slowly revealing it.
Right. And you just really, it's like, okay, guys, look. It's been 4 seasons. Mm-hmm. Will you just let us let us know, please?
Let us in on it. Come on. All right. Well, let's move on. Okay, so this next story is pretty cool. It's about some really old water that was discovered in a Canadian mine. The water is like 2 billion years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
pretty
pretty crazy.
impressive for a planet that's only 6,000 years old.
So the researchers from the University of Toronto, they actually before had discovered water that was 1.5 billion year old. But this from the same place, but they've gone deeper now and they've gotten even older water. This water is like 2 billion years old and it's still flowing. It's in the Kidd Creek mine in Timmins, Ontario.
So, Professor Thompson, how old do you think this water is? Well, Jillian, it's probably 2 billion years old. And you know what? Where's Steve? You mean the intern? Yeah. Watch this, Jillian. Hey, Steve, why don't you drink this? It's what we all do. It's cave water. You know, I mean, how do they know how bad it tastes? That's what I want to know. That's the whole story.
They say that it's 8 times saltier than seawater.
So it's semen.
No, it's pretty salty, but that's why they say it would. And it says that it likely has some
not that
trace
I
metals
know
in
if
it.
that's salty or not. That's
Yeah.
just, well, I mean, you know, just what I've read, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
all right.
What you've heard.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. Scientific and stuff.
So they are bottling it to kind of study it, see what sort of, its molecules are like. And because everything about it's
But
brand
it's
new.
safe, right?
Yeah, but they said it'd be really disgusting. But I mean, I guess they're assuming it's safe. I guess they probably
should
don't really know.
Totally bottle that and like try selling it.
And they're saying it's not like just a little bit of water that they found in a rock or something. It's like actually bubbling, flowing water. Yeah.
So what do they think they could find from 2 billion year old water?
Well, they want to see what kind of chemicals were left in it, left behind by like tiny single-celled organisms that once lived there, to kind of give them an idea of what the state of the Earth was like.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
long ago. So, because you don't have the opportunity to
That's amazing.
examine things that are 2 billion years old very often.
That's amazing.
So they're gonna start doing all their little tests
I'm
on
just
their
curious.
bottle in it.
What did you say the oldest water they had found previously?
1.5 billion.
So this is like
500 million years older.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a long time.
And they found it deeper. I wonder if they keep going deeper, if the water just keeps getting older and older. Is that how it works?
I don't know. It's it's supposed to be magma, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do they really know what's in the middle of the Earth?
They don't.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a big fiery core, but nobody's ever actually seen in there, so
Right.
who knows?
Yeah.
I love it when they assume things that they don't.
Oh, they assume a lot.
Oh, this is like that story I showed you earlier. I didn't bring that one to the show, but people just assume things
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Well, now they really want to know what you were talking
so now I
about.
have to tell you. So they found this cave art in Egypt, and they say that it's like a 5,000-year-old nativity scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the cave art is a man. It's like, painted. It's the
Right,
red-brown
right.
painting. And there's a man, and then there's a woman, and there's a little baby in between.
Right.
And then there's a few animals down below, like a lion and an orangutan or something. I'm not really sure. It's like some kind of monkey. I don't know why that would be nativity, but whatever.
Please let it be a lion and an orangutan.
I think it's like a lion and a
no, it's fine.
And then there's what they call a star to the east or
Yeah.
whatever. So all the news stories about this are like, oh, 5,000-year-old nativity scene.
Right.
And now I know that this whole virgin birth story
Right.
predates Christianity. It's
Right.
everywhere. It's in every religion and
Right.
it's all over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah.
It's not a new thing for them. But they took this painting and they've just immediately said that that's what it is. And there are pieces of the painting missing. Like
Giant
there's a
pieces.
huge, like the woman's head is missing. You
Right.
can see where it didn't survive and the rock has flaked off from where the painting is. And between the quote unquote star and the people, there's a huge section that's just gone.
It's gigantic. And it
And-
looks more like a cow jumping.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like a star to me.
It
It's
looks
like a
like two
diamond.
people standing that just dropped their baby. And
Or they're throwing it up to
Right,
something
right.
or something.
to the great cow god.
Yeah,
I don't
I mean,
know.
something like
it
that.
looks like a cow jumping over the moon, like the first impression of cow jumps over the
Yeah.
moon.
So I found that really funny because they are saying this, but they don't even see the whole picture.
People jump.
I
They
guess
just
so.
jump.
Okay, anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. So let's move on to something that happened that was very strange
Really?
and rare.
Really?
Yes. There are photos online of snow in the Sahara Desert.
Now that is strange
It is.
and impressive.
Yes. So this is the first time that snow has fallen in the Sahara Desert in almost 40 years. Because,
Wow.
that sort of thing just doesn't happen
Doesn't happen very often.
in the desert. No.
Happened in Egypt not long ago.
Did it?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
No, you actually did the story, but
Did
continue.
I?
Yeah.
don't remember. Oh, well, anyway. So there was a man there that took a bunch of pictures. They're beautiful pictures. I'll post a link to this online. But the snow stayed around for about a day. And then, of course, it melted away. But the first time that it did it was in February of 1979. And there was a snowstorm that lasted half an hour. But that was the first time that anybody remembers it even happening.
Wow.
Ever. And so now it's happened again on December 19th.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool looking, like to see the red sand dunes and then see snow on them. It's insane.
It's creepy. I mean, it's the Sahara.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen.
No, global warming and all.
Right. No, I mean, it's just it's just weird, man.
It's very strange, but it's cool. It's cool pictures, and you'll have to check those out. So, all right. So here's a pretty cool story. You're going to like this.
All right.
Okay. So there's this century-old vial of blood from the patron saint of Naples. Okay. And every year, the usually dry blood of Saint Genorius, it turns to liquid, and they call it a miracle. It's like an official miracle, and it's been doing it 3 specific days a year ever since 1389.
Right.
So it didn't do it this year.
Oh.
It didn't liquefy the third time this year. So people are thinking that this is very worrisome for the next year because it's supposed to predict dire events.
Oh, crap.
Like wars and things like that. For example, the relic failed to liquefy in September 1939, and then World War II broke out. And then it also failed to liquefy during a cholera outbreak in Naples, 1973. And then in 1980, there was a deadly earthquake, and it didn't liquefy that time either. So there's a lot of times they can pick that the thing doesn't do their miracle or whatever, and then bad things happen.
Okay, so I give you the first one.
Right.
Those other two, those kind of happen every year. I mean,
Cholera outbreaks?
Well, I mean, some kind of outbreak somewhere. And
the earthquake thing, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's people that are really like terrified now because
people do that.
Yes,
they get terrified over a lot of stuff. Let me tell you this much, people. If a freaking vial of Pope blood is the telltale for whether or not we're going to have a disaster or not, then the world's a lot more screwed than I even knew. All right. All it means is that it just didn't happen. I mean,
I am a tad bit more disturbed that they own a vial of saint blood.
We've done this before.
Yeah.
We've done these stories before. And when this kind of thing has happened, and we've done it before where they've stolen the blood.
Well, we did a story one time where there was blood that it's a different saint or something, or it's a pope, and it doesn't liquefy, but then the new pope touched it and it liquefied when it wasn't supposed to, or something crazy like that.
Yeah. I mean, they do a whole lot with. I wonder if they keep like their toenails and stuff.
I don't know. You think there's just like a special storage room for
Pope parts,
saint parts? Yeah.
We're terrible. Merry Christmas, y'all.
People be like, "Don't saint me. You'll steal my blood and my toenails." I don't know. Crazy. All right. So here's a story that just happened recently. I think you'll find this kind of interesting. There was a mysterious military operation over Manhattan.
Oh,
the other day.
That is interesting.
It is. This is kind of a conspiracy theory kind of thing. It was nothing that was announced. Nobody knew anything about it. And it happened over Manhattan Island on Tuesday afternoon. New Yorkers observed a U.S. Air Force C-130 and several Black Hawk helicopters flying low over the city. And they were just kind of going back and forth, and nobody knew why. Everybody was afraid. That sparks fears that maybe there's a terrorist threat or something.
Especially in New York City, I see that kind of stuff all the time because of the military bases. But
right. But this was over Manhattan,
right? And
nobody will actually admit that they were doing anything. Like they don't.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what they were preparing for. I remember last time they did war games, it didn't turn out that well for Manhattan very soon after.
Yeah. Well. A lot of people are saying that they were flying near Trump Tower.
Oh.
And a lot of people just we're trying to say that maybe it was just a training mission, but they normally announce those things. Like those are not normally secret.
I mean, especially for Manhattan, I'm sure they had to, announce it to people that mattered as far as the airports and whatnot.
Well, it does say that the Air National Guard that they told the Washington Post that the aircraft had been conducting military training and that it was standard procedure. But I don't see.
No, I'll give you that one. Usually, I mean, this stuff is for a reason. It's to see response times and, those type of things. So that one is kind of strange.
It's a little strange. Normally, people know. I mean, they know that there's training, and it's not something that's sort of just.
Like we tell you all the time, keep your eyes open.
Yes.
It's there's definitely things that we don't know that are happening at all times.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so let's move on. This is kind of a cool story that I saw that I think you're going to like. It's an article done about a picture that was taken by a paranormal group at the Black Magic Mansion, which is the home of Aleister Crowley.
Very cool.
Yes.
Uncle Aleister.
So there's a house called Boleskine House. That was my stomach. I apologize.
Oh, I was like, holy crap! Did we just summon Aleister Crowley?
No, my stomach just growled. I apologize for that. That was weird.
I mean, I've dressed up as Aleister on Halloween, on a Halloween episode.
I'm channeling Tim Clark at a Paranormal Investigation.
Oh my God!
My stomach going.
I mean, really, as soon as you said it, all of a sudden, Brian, hello, I'm back.
All right. So anyway, so the house.
Just so you guys know, we don't do the show normal. Like, we don't even use your dirty electricity. We have a lamp in front of us.
Yes.
And we use real, it's a lamp.
It's an oil lamp.
And we turn it up to give the ambiance. Yes. And do the show completely nude, and it's
I guess to tell them that.
Oh well, it's.
I posted a picture on Instagram of the setup in the tree. That's why we weren't in it though.
Oh yeah,
because we were naked.
Right.
Anyway, so the Boleskine House on the banks of Loch Ness belonged to Aleister Crowley, and of course Jimmy Page lived in it also. After that, being a huge fan.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Crowley.
So the people that own the house now, they were using it as kind of a vacation home. And last year on December 23rd, 1 year ago today, it was destroyed by a fire. So nobody's there now. It's just open.
Yeah.
So this ghost hunting team, Highland Paranormal, they had visited the property because of reports of increased activity or whatever. And they were taking pictures. And in one picture, there was it looked like smoke coming out of the chimney.
Right.
Now, the fireplace can't be used. It was destroyed in the fire.
Right.
And they claim that this was the only picture the whole night that looked like that. And I saw the picture, and it does look like there's smoke around the chimney.
Right.
Now, is that paranormal? I don't know. But it's an interesting picture.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it happened at, one time at this house.
Right. No.
So
that's it.
It's something you should look at anyway.
No, absolutely.
It's cool.
Absolutely. Pretty neat.
Yeah. But it was funny because I was looking at it, and, I always read the comments. I love reading comments. And there was a lot of people like putting it off, going, no, this isn't real. I can do that in Photoshop in 2 minutes. Of course you can. You can do anything in Photoshop. That's the point of Photoshop. I don't know. Anyway.
It's one of Stacy's pet peeves.
I hate that. I was like, yes, I realize you can do that, but it doesn't mean it's not real.
That's
So there's no one living in the house. There's a fence around it. Don't just go there and try to see weird smoke at the fireplace.
Right.
But I'm going to post this. I'm going to put an article on the Sideshow so you guys can go and look and see the picture, and then you can decide for yourself if it's weird.
As always.
Or if it's just something natural.
Fact or faked.
Yes, something like that. Okay, so I just have 2 more quick little stories, just some cool things that are out now that you can use or buy if you want to. All right, so one of these is an app, and it's called Supernatural Today.
Okay.
And I found this app because I was reading David Weatherly's blog, our friend David Weatherly.
Right. Yes, I've seen this one.
And he was talking about it, and I downloaded it, and it's actually pretty cool. It's got some news stories on it. You can go on there, and they put a few news stories every day or whatever, and it'll take you to there. There's actually links to blogs, to David's blog, and some other blogs you can read. And they have this map, and you can go on the map, and it has these little pinpoints. And when you touch the little pinpoint, it'll tell you if there was a sighting or UFO sighting or some kind of news story. And then if you touch it, it'll take you to that news story.
Right.
So I think it's still new. It's still in its
infancy.
Yeah, like early stages. But it's a cool app, and it's a good way to get to the blogs if you read them regularly. And they do post a lot of Mysterious Universe articles and things like that. So it's stuff that we really like to read.
Right.
So check that out. I'll put a link up to that as well.
Very
so you guys can download that. And this last one, I just thought this was so funny. We saw this on Week in Weird. It's a company that is making a device called the Ghost Repellent. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
It's so funny. It's a box that you can put in your home, and it emits a sound that's supposed to repel ghosts. Kind of like one of those mice things. You plug it in, it's supposed to repel mice.
Yes.
Only it's for ghosts.
Well, it works with the mice.
Do you think it works with the ghosts?
No, absolutely not.
So it's from a Thai company called Super Boondi. That's a weird name. And it's a new version. They actually made one several years ago, but they didn't mass produce it because people laughed at them. So they've made this new one now. And pretty much what you do.
Because people laughed at it.
That basically, that's what it said. Basically, it was laughed at. So you flip the switch on, and it emits like a low-level electromagnetic field. And when it detects any kind of anomaly, then it does this, what they say, quote unquote, is a wave killer blast that's supposed to repel ghosts and run them off from your home no matter how many times they come back.
I was thinking of making something like this, except mine plays Nickelback.
That would work. Only that would run us out of the house too, probably. Would yours also cost $1,500?
It will now.
Plus $140 for overseas shipping if you send it overseas. Of course, it's Thai, so yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just live with the ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, instead of paying the...
Considering we buy the place for the ghost. So
This is true. But, if you're just really set on not having ghosts in your house, there's an option.
There you go.
A viable option. All right, so that's all my news.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's now time for the main attraction.
Honored guest, friends, and marks, we here at the Paranormal Sideshow would ask that those faint of heart or weak of the knees to please switch off this broadcast, as it's time for the supernatural spectacle, a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma and stuffed neatly inside of a Tijuana taco roll. It's now time for our main attraction.
And now it's time for our main attraction. And on this main attraction, we're going to be talking about Christmas.
Yay, Christmas.
Well, don't get too excited just yet, little girl. I'm going to be talking about the ghost of Christmas past. And by that, Father Christmas is shaking in his pointy little boots right now because we're going to talk about the skeletons in Christmas's closet. Actually, we're going to talk about, we did it for Halloween with the origins of Christmas and some of the rather, well, not completely unknown, especially to our weird listeners, but
really, yeah.
To the vast majority of people, the origins of Christmas that maybe they don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure I learned some things, researching this show that I certainly did not know.
Yeah.
So,
and let's give a brief little history of Christmas to start with.
Okay.
Christmas can be traced back to the ancient Roman festival Saturnalia in honor of the deity Saturn. It consisted of wild parties, feasting, partying, drinking, gambling.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. And a general carnival-like atmosphere.
Oh.
Kind of like the sideshow.
Yeah, exactly.
Northern Europe celebrated Yule.
I have heard of that.
That's my people. I think that's our origins there. Also known as the winter solstice, burned the largest log they could find. And that's what they called the Yule log.
Yes. See, I've heard of that before.
And it also consisted, though, of some pretty hardcore feasting and partying.
Of course.
And they were trying to get the gloom out of it,
Right.
And plus just the solstice part of it. So you're use a little Doctor Who, which is also the best part of Christmas, which is the halfway out of the dark, right?
Right, because the days get longer after that.
Exactly.
There you go.
By the 5th century, Christians took over the holiday. The Christians made the traditional celebration about Jesus, even though it can't be proven when Jesus was born, if it was that time of year or not.
Right.
That's fine. Don't have a problem with celebrating the birth, at some point. It's just they did it because there was a bunch of pagan festivities going on.
Right, and they didn't like that people were celebrating their false gods or whatever, because I know, isn't Yule like a celebration of Odin,
right? That
kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and it was a way to incorporate their festivities,
right? To kind of take over, to kind of make it about Christianity.
And maybe they thought after 1,000 years or so, people would forget,
Yeah.
So.
It sounds like all the stuff that was going on in those festivals. It sounds like it'd be really hard to forget that.
Right.
Yes.
Christians decided that since they couldn't stop the people from celebrating, they would just say the celebration was for Jesus, but the people still celebrated the same way. Christmas was celebrated this way for a long time. In England, during medieval times, the revelers would appoint a Lord of Misrule. I think, we if that was still happening, we would have to totally be the Lord of Misrule, right?
Yeah. I would think so.
Who would manage the arrangement of Christmas activities?
See, I don't picture a Lord of Misrule as the one that's arranging things. I picture a Lord of Misrule as the one that's like burning stuff down.
Right, yeah. It's the punk rock version of it.
And like causing havoc.
Absolutely. The parties can be compared to a wild Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
With mobs in the streets who would bang on the doors of the wealthy citizens to demand to be fed. It's like hardcore trick or treat.
Right.
Well,
so they felt like the wealthy people owed them things.
Right. Trick or death. I mean, it's something like that. So for this reason, in the 1600s, the Puritans in Boston banned Christmas.
No Christmas.
Yeah, because it was a crazy pagan holiday.
I guess
so.
And
that's even all the way up to the 1600s.
It sounded dangerous.
Yeah.
It sounded like
the Purge.
It just sounded like chaos, total chaos.
Chaos. In 1659, the General Court of Massachusetts Bay Colony made it a criminal offense to publicly celebrate the holiday and declared that whosoever shall be found observing any such day as Christmas or the like, either by forbearing of labor, feasting, or any other way, was subject to a 5-shilling fine. People still had private celebrations in their homes, and there is no record of anyone ever being prosecuted under that law.
Nobody had to pay their 5 shillings.
The law was finally repealed in 1681. By the 19th century, immigrants who came to the United States brought their Christmas customs and traditions with them, and Christmas became the peaceful holiday that we have today.
Yeah, is it peaceful though? Is it? Have you been Christmas shopping the day before Christmas?
Yeah, Black Friday will be remembered 1,000 years from now on somebody's podcast.
Yeah,
they'll be like,
where did that tradition come from?
They had these Black Fridays where they would throw some, toys and everybody would die.
And they're going to think they're called Black Friday because people got hurt.
Right.
It was Black Friday because people were trampled to death in the streets.
I believe it's becoming that now.
Well, what about some of our more traditional Christmassy things? Let's talk about where some of that stuff comes from. Like stockings. You know how you hang your stockings up by the fireplace.
Yeah, with joy.
Wait for stuff. Of course, with joy.
Exactly.
It's Christmas time. Okay, so if you ever wondered where that kind of tradition came from, I've seen certain places where it said that Victorians started that tradition.
Right.
It's not really true. Now, Victorian era was a great time for Christmas. We'll talk about that in a little bit because I got some cool information on that.
Right.
I mean, like if I could go back in time for one kind of Christmas celebration,
right,
would totally be a Victorian era Christmas.
Right.
The stockings, what people think it started with was, of course, St. Nicholas, which there's a history of Santa Claus there too. I think you can talk about that in a minute if you want to. But they think that the practice of stocking stuffing was because he, used to give kids presents, but he didn't know how to make sure the kids would find the presents.
Right.
So he saw that they would hang their stockings up by the fireplace to dry them. So he started putting gifts, food and things in their stockings so that the kids would find them because they would go get their own stockings and there would be stuff in it.
Oh, wow.
And something funny, little tidbit you might not know about me, is one of the things he used to give out was oranges. And at the time, they were very rare and expensive and because they were very healthy. And so he would give the kids oranges because, he really wanted them to be healthy. And when I was a kid, I always got an orange in my stocking. Yeah. Always, all the way in the toe. I loved it. It was like something that happened in my mom's family. And so she just continued it on with me and my sister. And I used to always ask her, why did you put an orange in here? Not that I didn't like it. I loved oranges. But she'd be like, we always put an orange in. Like, she didn't really know. She's like, well, we've always done that.
Yeah.
So there you go. But so that's kind of like a little background on why we do the things with the stockings.
Right.
But to kind of go along with that, children sometimes would leave their shoes full of carrots and straw and other similar foods for Odin's horse.
Oh, wow.
Like when they were doing
so
Yule
it's kind of like
stuff.
the cookies.
Sort of.
I like Odin's horse thing better.
Odin's mythic horse, Sleipnir. I don't know how you say it because it's Viking.
Sorry, Odin.
But, apologize, Odin. But when Sleipnir ate the food, Odin would leave candy or other treats in the place for the children.
Very cool.
So it's kind of like leaving carrots and cookies out.
It would be cooler if Odin's horse left something,
Or, yeah, he may have. You never know.
Oh, that's very cool. But yeah, you're talking about Santa Claus.
Yeah, St.
Good
Nicholas.
old St. Nick. Kris Kringle. The legend of Santa Claus can be traced back hundreds of years to a monk named St. Nicholas. It is believed that Nicholas was born sometime around 280 A.D.
Why do you say it like that?
Because why not?
Okay.
In Patara, near Mira, in modern-day Turkey. much admired for his kindness, and St. Nicholas became the subject of many legends. It is said that he gave away all of his inherited wealth and traveled the countryside, helping the poor and the sick. One of the best known of the St. Nicholas stories is that he saved 3 poor sisters from being sold into slavery or prostitution by their father by providing them with a dowry so that they could be married. Over the course of many years, Nicholas's popularity spread, and he became known as the protector of children and sailors. Now, let me just say this. Mm-hmm. The problem with today, you know how much I hate the internet.
Right.
We have to use it. It's a necessary evil, but the fact that it makes the world so much smaller and takes the myth out of lands and takes the customs and really melts up everything, right?
Right.
You can't get away with anything these days if you're a celebrity, right? Mm-hmm. So if poor old St. Nicholas was around today.
Right.
And he ran around with a bunch of children
and sailors.
Right. I mean, can you imagine the stories that would be coming out?
Yeah, especially if he was trying to give money to people to pay dowries for women.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
How do you even become a saint these days? You know, because you can't.
Think you can.
Nobody's perfect, right? You know, they
Right.
would have his beach shot showing his wrinkly ass, and
There'd be viral videos of him sneaking
yeah.
things into kids' stockings.
right, exactly. So, I mean, it's just a different time, and it's a beautiful thing because I love the way legends were built back then.
Right.
You know, it was really you really just got the stories, and it was so much better.
In your imagination.
Yeah, your imagination. St. Nicholas made his first inroads into American popular culture. My favorite thing.
Right.
His first inroads into American pop culture towards the end of the 18th century. In December 1773, and again in 1774, a New York newspaper reported the groups of Dutch families had gathered to honor the anniversary of his death. The name Santa Claus evolved from Nick's Dutch nickname, Sinterklaas.
It's very close.
Yeah, it's very close. Santa Claus.
We always change everything. Americans change everything. Like they can't use the foreign word. They got to bastardize it into some kind of American word.
They do.
I don't know. I don't understand that.
I think that the Welsh figured that one out. Like, they're like, how can we do this where the Americans can't change it? I know.
We'll make the word 26 letters long with no vowels.
Right, exactly.
They can't say it.
Oh,
Okay,
love them. I love them. In 1804, John Pentard, a member of the New York Historical Society, distributed woodcuts of St. Nicholas at the Society's annual meeting. The background of the engraving contains now familiar Santa images, including Santa holding a Coke. No. Including stockings filled with toys and fruit hung over the fireplace.
Wasn't there some kind of thing going around that Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus?
Well, they invented the picture that we see of Santa now. Absolutely. Coca-Cola was...
They made it popular.
Yeah,
anyway.
they're the ones who commercialized Christmas. Coca-Cola absolutely, more than anything, I believe, has the commercialization of Christmas to blame for. In 1822, Clement Clark Moore, an Episcopal minister, wrote a long Christmas poem for his 3 daughters entitled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. Moore's poem is largely responsible for our modern image of Santa Claus as a right old jolly elf with a portly figure and the supernatural ability to ascend a chimney with a mere nod of his head. Although some of Moore's imagery was probably borrowed from other sources, his poem helped popularize the now familiar image of Santa Claus, who flew from house to house on Christmas Eve in a miniature sleigh led by 8 flying reindeer, leaving presents for deserving boys and girls.
Yes.
Very cool. Again, it's funny how things change over years and over, hundreds of years and just how that works. It always happens. Things change. Sometimes they change to suit our needs or suit corporations' needs. Let's go spend all your money one time a year,
Oh gosh. Oh, the worst part of that is the specific toy for Christmas that you're not going to get to buy because they only make 20 before Christmas, but they'll make 600 after.
Oh, yeah.
So those first ones they made cost a fortune.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Christmas. I love what it is. I even love the commercialized part. I don't like the fact that these traditional celebrations were, gobbled up and taken away. I don't like that for any culture.
No, that's true.
I hate that when these traditional beliefs or ceremonies all become kind of like the internet. Before the internet, there was the white man, and who went around the world and gobbled up all the traditions and turned them into one thing.
Well,
right?
Next year, let's celebrate Saturnalia.
Saturnalia.
Yeah, that one sounds fun.
Maybe the 12 days of Christmas, you could do 12 different,
there you go.
horrific drunken ceremonies.
Well, let's talk about gift giving.
Gift
Why
giving.
do we give people gifts at Christmas other than it's really fun? We like to get gifts. Well, Christians like to say that we do it because of the wise men, because
Right.
they brought gifts to the
Right.
baby Jesus. But that's not really true, because during Saturnalia, people actually gave gifts. So it's really just an original tradition. It's funny, during Saturnalia, children would be given gifts of like wax dolls.
Right.
And they were supposed to represent all the human sacrifices that Rome had given to Saturn for the payment of good harvests. But they would give like little small gifts like pottery and tree branches, just different things. But
Tree branches?
tree branches, yeah, I think to decorate your home, or it meant something. I don't remember exactly.
It means that you don't matter much to that person.
You couldn't be bothered to make a wax doll.
All right, here you go, Ed.
But
This is tree branch.
So the gift giving, it just sort of, and then like you said, once it came to America, it got commercialized, and now it's all about
Right.
the gift giving, which is bad. It shouldn't be all about the gift giving. Something funny that I'll point out, you were talking
It
about.
shouldn't be all about the gift receiving.
Exactly.
I like the gift giving.
I like the gift giving. Yes.
To the needy.
You were talking about, Santa Claus and being commercialized and stuff, but Rudolph, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Right.
It was actually, he was created in 1939 as a way to help lure customers into Montgomery wards.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. I happened to see
There
that little
you go.
tidbit. So, most famous reindeer of all
Yeah.
is
He's a sellout. That's what he is.
All right. Do you have another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The Christmas tree.
Oh, the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like our pretty tree here. You can't see it, but it's here.
It's there. Envision it. It has a long history of being used in winter festivals.
Right. Yeah,
Trees.
they always use the trees.
I mean, they were outside.
Yes. And that's why we use fir trees, because they're the only ones that are
Right.
green
Right.
in the winter.
The first Christmas trees came to Britain sometime in the 1830s. They became very popular in 1841 when Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's German husband, had a Christmas tree set up in the Windsor Castle.
Oh, of course, royalty did it.
She's like, "Do you like it?" He's like, "Nay." In 1848, a drawing of the Queen's Christmas tree at Windsor Castle was published in the Illustrated London News. The drawing was republished in Godey's Ladies' Book. I tell you what, I have another envision of Ladies' Book. Philadelphia in December 1850, but they removed the Queen's crown and Prince Albert's mustache and to make it look American.
Of course they
because
did.
They're Americans.
Of course they did.
The publication of the drawing helped Christmas trees become popular in the UK and the USA. In Victorian times, the tree would have been decorated with candles to represent stars. In many parts of Europe, candles are still used to decorate Christmas trees.
Because that sounds safe.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I
Absolutely.
have a real tree in my living room that's going to dry out. Let's put fire on it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Victorian times, before we end the show, I want to talk about some Victoria era Christmas things that they would do.
And part of this is the reason we did this, just about some of the traditions that they did, because this time of year is the world's best time for one certain thing. Ghost stories. And
Yes.
I know that'll be one of your
Yes,
traditions
they
that they do.
definitely told ghost stories, which is awesome. But before they told the ghost stories, Victorians, they really knew how to celebrate Christmas. I mean, you could get hurt, maimed, anything during Christmas celebration if it was a good one.
Right.
So they used to play these parlor games, and one of them it's so funny. It's called Snapdragon. Okay, so the way you play Snapdragon is they play it on Christmas Eve, to celebrate, and they would take a bowl and they would put like a bunch of raisins in it, or dates, or grapes, or something that could be grabbed, kind of a shallow bowl, and they would put a whole bottle of brandy in there. And they would put it on the table, and everybody would stand around it, and they would light the brandy on fire.
Wow.
So you have a flaming bowl with fruit in it, and object of the game is to stick your hand in and grab a piece of fruit. And then in order to extinguish the fire, put it in your mouth and eat it.
Oh my God.
So, and everybody got a big kick out of it when you failed, because obviously you're burning yourself to death.
Right, absolutely.
And that was the game. And they just take turns sticking their hand in a flaming bowl of brandy and grabbing fruit and popping it in their mouth.
So many memories of my 22nd year of life just popped in my head.
So if that wasn't bad enough, they also played Blind Man's Bluff. Have you ever played Blind Man's Bluff?
Yes.
Okay. Well, our version is kind of weenie compared.
Okay.
Blind Man's Bluff is a game where somebody is blindfolded and they try to walk around. It's like a game of tag, but one person is blindfolded. So in the original Victorian version that they played during Christmas, it was part of the rules that you would put things in front of the blindfolded person to try and get them to fall. And it didn't matter. Like the object was to make them hurt themselves. So they couldn't tag you. Like it didn't matter if you broke something.
That's amazing.
So I thought it was hilarious. Yeah. And they also would play like a variation of Truth or Dare, only they called it Questions and Commands.
Oh, wow.
And if you didn't answer a question or you didn't follow a command, you actually had to like pay a fine, like money, actual money. Or they'd throw like soot in your face.
Or we could figure something out, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure that happened.
After a bottle of brandy or so.
And of course, there was always tons of drinking.
I knew I loved the Victorians.
And tons of drinking. And there was like a Yuletide challenge that people would do. It didn't really have a name, but the object was to try and spin around 50 times in 1 minute.
Wow.
And so that resulted in
seizures?
Probably. Well, with all the drinking, I'm sure it resulted in lots of sickness and not able to walk and things like that. So that's just kind of some of the fun parlor games that children played in a Victorian Christmas. But of course, they also told ghost stories.
Right.
So if you're interested in doing a Victoria tradition that's not going to burn you or break your arm, you could try a ghost story. So I thought I would just list out 5 pretty popular stories that you could probably find online.
Right.
That would be interesting.
And let me just say again, this is my favorite part of it. You know, you picture back, you had the lamps, you had the candles. It's spooky anyway. The best time of year, you know, your family's all together. It's too cold to be outside and playing. So you're in the big Victorian house with all the extra room and the drafts and the imagination running wild and probably a few ghosts.
Quite a few.
You know, the some of my favorite parts of my childhood, not necessarily around Christmas, was the ghost stories. I absolutely love the ghost stories that I used to hear. And, you know, about the woman burning up on the stove and she still is in the house and all these amazing things. So yeah, continue. I just love this.
Okay. So these 5 stories are Christmassy and paranormal, spirity themed. So of course, the obvious one is A Christmas Carol.
Absolutely.
Of course. With
one of the best stories ever made.
With the 3 ghosts. Yeah. And it's actually one of my favorite stories. And at Christmas time, I go out of my way to watch every movie that is made in the theme of A Christmas Carol.
So do you think that's possibly the best book or the best story that's out there that's
possibly Christmassy?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I would think so.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's my favorite.
Right.
I love it because I love the fact that he's so Scroogey and then he's so nice at the end.
Right.
That's like my favorite theme in the story. But once you're done reading The Christmas Carol, there's a story called A Strange Christmas Game. It was written by J.H. Riddell in 1868. And the thing about this book is it's not, it says it's written by J.H. Riddell, but it's actually Mrs. J.H. Riddell.
They had to do that.
Yes, they did. So it's a story about the unexpected centering on a brother and sister who, with a card game, they were in a house that was willed to them by a deceased relative, and they're playing a card game, and they conjure up the spirit of a recently deceased relative, and it takes them through their family's past and the circumstances surrounding this person's death. Wow. So it has ghosts and spirits and a weird card game. Sounds pretty cool.
So is that weird card game tarot? Or?
It does not say, just says card game. Might be.
Yeah.
You conjure spirits with it. Some kind of weird thing. Okay, so then there's a couple stories by an author named M.R. James. The first one is called Lost Hearts. It's from 1895. And it is about an orphan boy who goes to stay at the house of his distant relation, Mr. Abney. And after his arrival, he learns about 2 children who had come to stay at the house, but they both mysteriously disappeared. Aww. Yeah. And his other one's called The Tractate of Middith. And it's a story about 2 men who summon a host of ghastly spirits and supernatural beings in a library after accidentally discovering a Hebrew text. So it sounds pretty cool. And the last one I think sounds really cool. I'm actually going to try and find this one. It's called Smee. S-M-E-E. And it's about these people that are at a party and they're playing a form of hide and seek in which the seeker comes up to the hider and whispers, "It's me." But when you do it when you're kind of drunk, it sounds like "Smee." Yeah. And so it's Christmas Eve and they're in this big house. But the problem is that there's an extra player that nobody knows who it is. So it's like a kind of a scary, Christmassy story.
Very
It sounds
cool.
really cool. But I'm going to put links to all these stories so anybody that wants to go and check them out can have a cool Christmassy ghost story.
I'm telling you what we're going to do on Christmas.
What's that?
We're going to read every one of them.
I don't know how long some of those are, but
Well, I
I
don't
definitely
care.
want to read the Smee one. That one sounds cool.
I'm going to sit on the couch. We're going to read those.
We have story time.
And then we're going to beat the crap out of each other. Let's have a Victorian Christmas.
Okay, can we put candles on the tree?
Let's do it.
Open flame
Let's
candles.
just go all out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then we'll go out in the streets and revel.
I love to revel.
Reveling is fun.
Reveling is the way. And speaking of the way, thank you for the main attraction. And I realized that this main attraction may not have had a whole lot of ghost or paranormal or anything, but it did have a lot of creepy origins.
It did.
Of something, and it's a Christmas special.
And we did put ghosts in there.
We did.
So
we did put.
We did
ghosts
our
in
part.
there. But we'll go back to our normal dread and terror on our next episode.
Exactly.
But, if you want to find out more about anything that we talked about, then you might want to check out ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything Victorian and nasty. On Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. On the Twitter, it's @Sideshow97. On Instagram, hot damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. On YouTube, just search Paranormal Sideshow.
Yes.
And I hope that everyone out there is enjoying their holiday time with their loved ones or their neighbor or whoever that is with you right now. We like to have a lot of fun on here. We'll continue to have a lot of fun. And our next one will be probably making some resolutions.
We probably need to.
We probably need to. And a few Hail Marys. For my
Some apologies.
For my lovely... Wow. For my lovely elf, Stacy, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.